And it wasn't until this site right here that you see on my screen, Michael Matthews, the Work at Home Millionaire, that I actually started seeing like the real effects of my design work. And if it's cool with you, I'm gonna go into this conversion standpoints. Is this cool with you, Andrea?
Yeah, I totally want to dissect the site from like head to toe and have you point out like every single point that somebody needs to pay attention to.
Oh,
That's probably what you had in mind, but I'm just like repeating for the benefit of everybody listening. Okay, go ahead.
well, I was talking to Andrea about this before, but surprisingly, this site had graphics before that weren't created by our company at all, and it was doing okay with conversions. They were running a lot of PPC traffic to it, and the person who had the rights to the site was a copywriter, and he wanted to revamp his site. He was making good money, but he had a feeling he could make a lot more. So at
Right.
that point, he was making about I think he told me somewhere around $11,000 to $12,000 a month in profit, and that was good money. I mean, by any amount, that's a really good amount of money. But he was being ambitious and he wanted to keep going forward. So one of the things you might hear from the gurus is, and something that I shouldn't be saying some of the times, but it is true. Graphics, for the most part, can really, really hurt your conversions. If you have a really good copy could definitely help you out a lot more than graphics can, and graphics could actually hurt you. And with this guy did a split test, and in the split test, he took out the graphics that he had on the page, and just kept the copy that he had on the page. His conversions went from $12,000 a month to roughly $44,000 a month in profit. That's how bad the graphics were, and I don't have them on file at the moment, but they weren't bad looking. You'd be surprised how not ugly they were. It's just the elements that they had in the graphics that I had noticed that, well, because I was working with the copywriter at one point, and he had told me what the elements are, and I'm gonna go into them right now.
Excellent. Thank you.
Basically, oh, basically what it was is the header he had was way too wide and way too tall. If you notice here on this header, it's about, I don't know the exact measurement right now. Let me measure it for you. But say it's, let me see. It's, well, I don't even have the measurement here. Well, it's roughly 150 pixels. So, I mean, that's the way beyond the limit that I would actually go to most of the time. But from what I heard from one of these copywriters is keep it below 100 if possible, and at max about 150 pixels. So what this had before was about a 250 pixel height wise header, and you know what? It's all good and fine if you want to have a huge header to make it look pretty, but people don't have enough time to wait and load. I mean, not everyone has fast computers and fast internet connections, so they don't want to wait.
I may have
So
to scroll down further to start
that's right. The,
reading.
the power of the fold was the most amazing part that I noticed. So
Mhm.
I made this design, and one of the things that I kept in mind was make it thin. And I know a lot of you seen the sites with money flying everywhere and stuff like that. And as you can see here, there is money, but it's layered in the background. It's almost as part of a texture, not just in your face type stuff. I mean, I did layer the $100 bill on the right just to give a slight hint of what the site was about, and you know, touch into the psychology of the visitor of the site. But one of the other things I did was create this yellow text. I mean, yellow and blue are contrasting colors, as some of you may know, and that's the reason I created this pretty much gold standpoint. And as soon as you land on the site, the first thing you're gonna notice is that bright spark on the O of millionaire, and that's just to get your attention that there's value here. It's shiny, it's lucrative, something that you might want to get into. So the point of the graphics wasn't to make you, be like, ooh, this is pretty. It was to make you start reading the copy and basically get sold on whatever product or what's on the page, which is your goal when you want your visitor to go to your site, is to click on the one button on the site. So this
Mhm.
site, as soon as it relaunched with that element alone, the site went from converting at $44,000 without any graphics and $11,000 with graphics to using my graphics and converting at $80,000 a month. So it was a
Wow.
huge difference. And at the time, we were just starting out. So, I mean, the guy made a good investment. He spent a couple $100 and he made a huge return on his investment. So, something you definitely want to look into. And another element here that I'm going to talk about real quick is make sure the background is either darker than your copy. I mean, see how it's white in here? The inside of the copy is always a white background. one of the things that I didn't, we did a Warcraft site once for a client, and he had told us that make sure that you guys don't do any texture layers, because I'm like, I figure Warcraft, something artistic, I put in a parchment paper in the background instead of white, and it was really deep, like beige. So I figured, oh, it'd go with the theme. But he told me, like, I've tested before in these conversions, and trust me, it's gonna hurt conversions. And just to prove it to us, because we were hard headed at the moment, he told us, look, these are the conversions, and they were drastically much lower than just white. It's mainly to do with loading times, and it's harder to read. I mean, if you notice, we're all prone, like from birth, to read from, whatever's a white paper with black text or any color on top of that that's contrasting. So something you want to keep in mind. Now, with the backgrounds, the colors that I would recommend you using, depending on the test that we've done, would be dark blue, light blue, and a light gray. I wouldn't veer off to any other colors, really, unless it's somehow adding to the contrast of your site. I mean, I know you've seen gurus launch out there before with these dark black backgrounds, but keep in mind that I'm talking to you about conversion standpoint in the sense of, fresh traffic. Like, let's say you're not a guru. Let's say you don't have a strong bond with your list. If you don't launch a site every week, which at the moment I'm working with an internet marketer that does launch a site every week, so I don't have a problem changing backgrounds, because it's not about a conversion standpoint anymore. It's about making your list comfortable to you. Then you just want to make sure you keep these safe colors in mind: dark blue, light blue, and gray.
How about white?
White's good. It's just the reason I don't like white as much is because you don't have a really big contrast between the page. Your reader could go off, and you basically set them free throughout the page when you do a white background. And if you constrict it with some sort of border and making the background drop back and the foreground, which is the copy of the sales letter, pop forward. That's something that I learned when I used to do fine art, when I used to paint, was when I was talking to my art teacher. And he had told me, if you want to do shading for shadows, all shading really is when you put the dark colors in the canvas or whatever drawing you're doing, you're basically dropping that out of the focus. You're making something else the focus of the image. So whatever's lighter is going to get more attention. That's why I recommend, even if it's a hint of light gray, just making the background fall back and not being a focus. I know you've seen those sites with the URLs tiled across the background, and that's just, number one,
horrible.
It's really tacky. And number two, it's just taking away attention. No one really cares about your brand. They just want to know what their product could do for them. So stop throwing it in their face. Just make it seem really professional, like a business owner. That's what you want to convey when you get to somebody's site.
Okay.
Other things about this, this guy has more options on this site because he's obviously spending a lot on PPC traffic. So he wants to make sure that he gets a good return on his investment. So to save his leads, he has this this blue thing right here with the red text. And make sure if you're ever gonna do something with the word free, make sure free dominates way over. As you can see here, it's almost the size of all these 3 words put together, and it's only 4 letters. You basically want to make that the most obvious thing to somebody. These buttons right here is something that we tested with our client. And basically, it's when it's red and you mouse over and it turns green, human instinct and psychology, basically, you're prone to clicking on whatever's green. Like, it's an okay thing. If this would have been backwards, I'm pretty sure his conversions would have been drastically lower. Because it's more like an error message. Nobody wants to mess up their computer. So, you might want to keep that in mind as well.